everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to get into my full review and a tutorial using all four of the new blush and highlighter duos from Wayne Goss. So I ordered these on the Beautylish website and got them so fast and I was so excited. Beautylish rocks when it comes to shipping. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Lynn. I am 41 years old and I have a medium with like a golden undertone. For your reference, I will leave a list in the description box down below of several popular foundations that I wear and what shade I wear in those foundations in case you think you might be close to my skin tone so that you can understand what these blushes and highlighters will look like on your skin tone. So these palettes each retail for $45. They're made in Canada. They do have a 9-month shelf life, which I was kind of surprised to see that. I don't know if it's because maybe the highlighter might be a little bit creamy. It's not to the point where it's buttery, where if you put your finger in it, you're gonna make a dent, but it is pretty creamy. So I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if it's the legalities of it. I'm not exactly sure. Like I said, I have all four of the palettes. This palette is called Coral Rose. This one of the four is probably my favorite. I love the blush in here. I also love the highlighter in here. I'm actually wearing this palette on my face right now. I'm wearing the Coral Rose on this side, and I'm wearing the Blush Peony on this side. Blush Peony is more of just a pink. It's just a traditional pinky flush. But the highlighter is a little bit more iridescent, a little bit more of a holographic, which I'm going to get into that later because I'm not a big fan of holographic highlighters. This one surprised me. Not only did I apply all four of the blushes on my skin, but I also put them on the eye. In Wayne's video, he talked about being able to take this formula if you wanted to match your eyes to your skin. And let me tell you, this was very easy to do. You can tell it only took me a couple of minutes. I'm in a hurry. I always grab my bronzer, my blush, and my highlighter, and I sweep it somewhat in the crease, just so I don't have to reach and pull out an eyeshadow palette and do a full look with it. I can just use my bronzer, my blush, and my highlighter and create a look with it and be done with it. So I wanted to do that just to kind of see how this formula does blend on the eye. And you can see these are really pigmented on my eye, which was really impressive. If you guys haven't watched Wayne Goss's video, he went through and described each one of these palettes, the colors, and the thought behind creating these and naming them. My beautiful friends, Mel Thompson and Kelsey Brianna J, they were the models and they did such a beautiful job. They looked so beautiful on their skin tone and it made me even more excited to get these. If you guys have not checked out his video, I will leave a link to it in the description box down below. He does a great job describing the shades in these and like why he chose that particular shade. So then we have this one, which is called the Vivid Azalea, and Vivid Azalea is really different. Not like nothing I have in my collection. I went through all my blushes. I wanted to kind of do some swatch comparisons, and out of all four of the palettes, the only shade that I could try to somewhat match, which I didn't find an exact match, I'm gonna be honest, but the only one that I had something similar to it was this Coral Rose, but still not the same. So these are unique shades based on my collection alone. I mean, let's get real. I am a blush fan though. I have a lot of blushes. But then we finally have Bright Poppy, and Bright Poppy is exactly what it is. It's bright and beautiful, got this golden kiss highlight, so pretty. This one surprised me when I applied it because I never can wear these dark golden highlights. When I applied it, I had this like gold streak on my cheek, but then as soon as I went over the top of it with the blush, that gold streak was gone, and then it just looked like this bronzy, sun-kissed look on my skin. I was really surprised by this. All of the blushes are more of a matte formula, except for this one. This one has a tiny bit of shimmer in it. So if I pull it up close to the camera, you can see there's just a tiny bit of shimmer, but not enough to be a shimmer formula. It just gives the skin just a very hint, like a light hint of shimmer. It's really beautiful. So you guys know I like to do price breakdowns, and to save time on the video, instead of telling you all of the price comparisons of these highlighter and blush duos compared to some of the other blushes that are out on the market, right up here on the screen is an image of many different brands that are out on the market, high and low. And as you can see, there's some from Too Faced and Benefit and Tarte, which those are kind of the middle of the price sold at Sephora. And you can see that these palettes are $2.37 per gram, which is cheaper than all of the blushes that I have up here on the screen, which is pretty incredible. So yes, the $45 was a little steep. If you think about it, you're paying $22.50 for a blush and $22.50 for a highlighter, which at the end of the day, that's pretty dang affordable when it comes to a blush and a highlighter, especially based on what I'm seeing right up here on the screen. So that's what we're doing in today's video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the application portion of the video. Then we'll get into my comparisons of some of the other blushes that I have in my collection next to the Coral Rose blush palette. And then we will get into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so let's dive into these blush palettes and highlighters from Wayne Goss. But the only thing that I have on right now is my foundation, a little bit of powder because I am wearing my Chanel, the new Le Beige foundation. And this one is so skin-like, but it can be a little bit shiny on camera. So I went ahead and put my foundation on. I put a little bit of bronzer on up at my forehead, but I didn't want to put anything down here because we want to see what these blushes are going to look like on my skin tone. The packaging's really pretty, solid silver, and the packaging is a shiny black, and this is a lot of product, like a lot. Since there's 4 blushes and highlighters, I'm going to put one on each cheek, show you guys what it looks like on my medium skin tone, and then I'm going to wash this portion of my face off, reapply foundation, reapply a little bit of powder, and go ahead and play with the other 2. So that's what we're going to do. I've got 2 brushes here. They are the exact same, but they are dirty, but I have rubbed them against my towel and got most of the residual off. This is the one I'm most excited about personally. This one is called the Coral Rose. And this one is rosy and blushing. This is the one that I would have bought if I wasn't buying all 4 of them to review for you guys. This is the one that I would have picked up just for me to use on a regular basis because I think that shade is really beautiful. I'm gonna apply the 2 darker ones first. So this one, I'm assuming it has quite a bit of pigment. So let's go ahead and tap in. Ooh, lots of pigment. Now, if you get scared and you're a little bit intimidated by this much product on your brush, go ahead and just tap off first. Tap off on the back of your hand. See what you're going to get. See what color it's going to be. And it's actually not as much as I thought it was going to be. Now, if you guys watched Wayne's launch video, he recommended to apply the highlighter before the blush, which I'm going to be honest with you, is absolutely genius. I've never even really thought about doing that. The highlighter is kind of my last step with my overall face makeup. So that was really fun. That was a great tip. So I'll go ahead and use that technique on 2 of the applications, and then the other 2, I will apply the blush first and then the highlighter over top. Let's go ahead and grab a little bit of this shade. I'm going to tap off. These feel very creamy. So even when I am tapping off my brush, I don't really know that there's a lot coming off. Some of this right here and work our way up. And I'm just kind of just doing these little like stippling motions. Okay, so that's a lot of blush. Yes, I'm going to grab my powder brush and just buff that in. So sometimes it's always really nice to go over it with your brush just to kind of like buff and like melt everything into the skin. Now, I prefer to apply a little bit of blush right here on the apples of my cheeks. A lot of people will just do it right here in this area. I like it on the apple of the cheek. I think it just, I don't know, maybe it's the 80s girl in me, who knows, but I have a lot of texture right now because I just had a facial and she did a lot of extractions. So I've got a lot of texture going on. But, you know, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and grab the highlighter. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty highlighter. Yeah. Now, I can see that it could just be a very soft highlight and not be, like, too overwhelming. I don't know that I love the blush on my skin tone. It might just be a little bit too pink for me. but I love the highlighter. I think the highlighter is beautiful. Kind of has a little bit of an iridescence, and the formula is super creamy, and it's got a lot of opacity. So that's the highlighter swatched, and you can see it's got quite a bit of opacity to it. Let's swatch this blush. Yeah, the blushes are super creamy. And this is actually not bad. Like, it's growing on me. The color of the blush is growing on me. I really didn't think that it was going to work with my skin tone, but like once I put some powder on, and then once I kind of, I don't know, this blush isn't bad. I was a little bit concerned about that color, but I don't know. It's actually quite pretty, especially when you pop a little bit of highlighter on it. It gives it a little bit of something. I don't mind that. I think it's pretty. Let's jump into the Sunny and Golden Glow. This highlighter is gorgeous, and it's super creamy. This I could see would be absolutely stunning on dark skin tones. Look at that. Ooh, that blush is beautiful. It's like a mix between an apricot and strawberry color. It's beautiful. All right, let's go into the highlighter first. I'm going to pick some up. I'm going to bring some down here, but I'm not going to bring it down too far because I do have texture on my cheek. Whenever you apply highlighter, you want to be careful how far down you bring it, especially like over here, I've got quite a bit of texture. It would not have been smart for me to bring highlighter down that far, because highlighter obviously will emphasize any texture that you have. Now you can see that this is not for my skin tone, because you can see I have like a little bit of a yellow golden stripe right here. I'm going to grab my other brush, and I'm going to go into the shade. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I love the color of that. Again, going over it with a little bit of my powder brush. I'm just using the brush that I use to apply my powder just to kind of blend it and buff it into the skin. But look at that. I actually really like the color of that blush. Especially when, if you're wearing it on those days where you're not wearing any bronzer and you just really want your blush to pop, that is beautiful. And it does kind of have that strawberry, like orangey undertone, and it's stunning. Like, that is really pretty. You guys know I love blush. I could do this all day. I could test and apply blush all day. It's like my favorite thing besides foundation, but this is beautiful. You know, this one's a little bit more of like a cooler tone, brighter pink. This one is just a very warm pink with that apricot strawberry undertone. It's so pretty. When I went in with the highlighter, you could see that golden stripe across my cheek. Now that I've went in with the blush, you can't see it. It's gone. So I like that. I like how this just calmed down that golden, but still gave me the highlight underneath, which means that I can totally wear this palette. I think this side just really flatters my skin tone. So if you have a deeper skin tone than I do, this will be absolutely beautiful on you. I mean, so pretty. Okay. I feel like it didn't disrupt my foundation or anything. So I'll go off camera and I will wipe this off, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I went ahead and wiped this off, threw some foundation back on, and powdered. So we are ready to go. So in this video, I'm going to use two different brushes because my other brushes are kind of stained now. So I'm going to clean those up. So let's jump into this palette. I'm excited. I'm going to first go into the highlighter and place it right here. Oh yeah, this is pretty. This is gorgeous. I'm going to kind of, oh, I'm grabbing my hair. I'm going to kind of like sweep it. It's very soft. So for those of you that have maturing skin, this is a beautiful highlighter because it's so soft and subtle on the skin, and it's not super, super strong, but it's very, very buttery and beautiful on the skin. I love that highlighter. Okay, that blush is beautiful. So I did have to layer it 2 times. So I went into the pan twice to get this level of intensity, but it's so pretty. So when you swatch it, watch this. So when you swatch it, you get a nice swatch, but not a lot of residue left on your finger. So it does have some nice intensity to it. And I like how even though it has some intensity, it's not super, super strong. That's a really pretty highlighter. Let's go ahead and grab this brush, and I'm going to dip into this blush. So this is dipped in 1 time. That's the level of intensity. So I'm going to grab one more little swatch and apply it one more time just to kind of build it up. Then I'm going to wipe off my brush and I'm going to go into that highlighter. It's like a really pretty iridescent pink, which I normally don't wear a lot of iridescent pinks. It's almost borderline holographic. Ooh, but it made that blush beautiful. Okay, let me say this. Okay, so let me grab that blush brush and kind of blend that into the blush. This highlighter has a little bit of a holographic look to it. You can kind of see where it's got some little bit of that pink, purple reflective. It's pink. You can see how it's got some pink reflective looks to it. And then when you look at it from the side, it's a little white. So it's somewhat holographic. But when you apply it on the cheek with the blush, kind of makes the blush look, I don't know. I wasn't expecting to like the highlighter, but paired with that color of the blush, it becomes a very beautiful, soft, iridescent look on the cheek. And I think it looks really pretty. I'm really impressed. Right. I think I'm going to apply a little bit of these in the crease because I know he said, you know, that you could totally apply them in the crease and kind of wear them as a little bit of eyeshadow. So I think I'm going to try that. I think I'm going to grab this pink color, just lightly place some of this in the crease, just a little teeny bit. I got enough on the brush that I could go on both sides. I'm going to grab a different brush and just kind of blend it in. I'm going to grab the Coral Rose. I'm going to grab this shade right here. Sorry, this other palette I was using is Bright Poppy. I forgot they have names. Ugh, forgive me. All right, so I'm just going to press some of this on the lid. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of this shade from the Coral Rose palette and go over top of it. I'm going to grab this shade, put that right on the inner corner. All right, I'm going to go ahead and throw some lashes on. I will come back. We will get into some swatches and also some comparisons. I want to compare it to some of the other blushes that I have in my collection. Then we will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so now that we've made it through the swatches, let me get into my final thoughts. I think these blushes are very, very creamy, very buttery, and they don't have a lot of dust to them. I recently reviewed the KKW Beauty and Allison collection, and there was a blush palette in there the blushes were so chalky and like you could tell right away that they were not going to apply very pretty on the skin, and I just did not love the way that they felt. These are the complete opposite of that. They are very, very creamy. And I'll be honest with you, based on just swatching them, I compared the Coral Rose shade next to the Patrick Ta. This is, you guys know I have been raving about this for a long time. I love this formula. This formula is unique because you have the blush down here at the bottom, but then you can pop a little bit of this on top to really give it some life. Oh, genius. But the matte formula in the Patrick Ta blushes are very similar to the Wayne Goss matte formula. I was really impressed with the way that they feel on the finger, and they just feel super creamy. Like you can feel them, like if you rub them in between your fingers, you can feel the creaminess texture to them. And I think they're beautiful. The other thing that I really like is that the blush formula is very buildable, especially in the lighter palettes. So like these two palettes right here, this I was able to really build it without getting too carried away. And I think it just added such a nice flush of color, but not being too much. But at the same time, if you want to take it to that extra level and really build it, you can. So I'm impressed with the formula. The overall look and the feel of them, they're really good formula. The highlighters are beautiful. Wayne mentioned in his video that he wanted to create something that was also mature skin friendly, which of course piqued my interest because I just turned 41 in May. I can't wear something that's super shiny on my skin, especially because just in this last year, I'm starting to get that orange peel look right here on the cheek. The highlighters just look so beautiful on the skin, and it's not too much highlight. It's not too strong. This new Huda Beauty, this is more of like a metallic finish where it is like, it will blind you. If I go in too heavy with this, I always have to go over it with a brush and kind of buff it out, like the brush that I use to apply powder, because it can grab onto texture. I mean, you can see that, you see how it grabbed onto the lines in my hands. That is that type of finish where it will grab. So let me swatch this one on the other side so you can see just how mature skin friendly these are. These highlighters are fantastic. This hand is the Wayne Goss and this hand is the Huda Beauty. So you can see that this one is just softer. Yes, it's going to exaggerate texture because it's a highlighter. You're never going to get away from that. So it's always going to exaggerate texture, but you can tell the difference. The finish doesn't, this one exaggerates more than this one. If you have crow's feet, you know how that is. A highlighter such as the Huda Beauty formula will exaggerate those wrinkles on the side much more than a formula like this. So yes, these highlighters are not the most blinding highlighters out on the market, but I think they're very, very beautiful and they're very buttery. And the way that they apply, they're very soft. And I do believe these are mature skin friendly. If you like the blinding highlight, then you can manipulate this formula to give you that blinding highlight where you could spray your skin with some setting spray, go in with your brush, apply it on a little dampened skin. That always exaggerates highlighters. The thing that I also like about these is that he was right. When he created the formulas, these formulas pair very well together. You can tell that there was a lot of thought put into the color combinations. This palette intimidated me because this is a holographic type of finish. And if I was going to wear this alone, that's exactly what it would be. But when he said to go in with the highlight first and then go over it with a blush, there's something magical that happens because I, to this day, have never applied a iridescent holographic highlighter and enjoyed it. In fact, they're my least favorite because it's almost, to me, it's worse than glitter on my face. I don't like glitter. I paired these two together and I applied the blush over top of the highlighter. It was beautiful and I will wear it that way. And I'm shocked because I would never wear something like this. And I just think he did a great job. I really do. Yeah, I would prefer less product for a cheaper price, especially with a 9-month shelf life. These are going to be something that you're going to want to use on a regular basis. Now, with that said, Will I reach for these on a regular basis? Absolutely. I think these are beautiful. I'm noticing there's a common theme with his brand. For example, his palette. So I said the exact same thing when I reviewed his palette. The pans are so big that because I'm, coming from somebody that has a lot of makeup, I'll never go through this in a million years. However, I bought this palette for my mom that literally her makeup sits inside of a little bag like this. She loves it, absolutely loves it, because it's going to last her for so long. There is a market out there for these larger pan size. Makeup artists and people like my mom who don't really have a lot of makeup, and when they get something that's just perfect for their skin tone, they're going to use it every single day. So if you are a consumer that maybe don't really have a lot of blushes and highlights in your collection, and you find one that would be kind of the perfect combination for your skin tone, I think you'll absolutely get your monies out of these. I think these are larger than what I personally need, but there is a market out there for people who need a palette this size. So it all depends on the individual, and you have to go through your collection and decide, do I really need a blush right now? If you don't need one right now, but you will need some in the future, these are great formulas. And I think these are going to work for a wide variety of skin tone. And personally, I would say if you're my skin tone, I personally like the Coral Rose. I think it matches my skin really beautifully, and I think it complements my skin beautifully. I think that it all depends on you and what you need in your collection. But as far as it goes, if you were considering buying these and you need them in your collection and you're wanting them in your collection, but you're wanting to know if the formula is decent, I can tell you right now, hands down, these are awesome formula, both the highlighter and the blush. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is I'm really glad that his blushes don't have a lot of shimmer. It seems like as I've aged, Hourglass is about the only formula that I can wear that has shimmer in it, and it works. The reason why I say that is because I have this blush from Tom Ford. This one is the Love Lust 2. And it's such a beautiful shade. I'm obsessed with it. I also have this one from Jouer. This is one of their blush duos, and they're too shimmery. I can't wear them anymore. Like, I went to wear this the other day and I had to go over it with powder and kind of calm down the shimmer, because the shimmer exaggerated that orange peel right here on the center of my cheek, and I was like bummed out. I'm really glad that these are matte and they don't have any shimmer of them. He did a great job. He did. The formula's great. The price, yes, it's high, but for how much you get, it's actually a really decent price. So that's it for my review. I hope that this review was helpful. I tried to give you as many details as I possibly could. Sound off down below. Let us know, have you guys bought these? How are you feeling about them? Do you love them? Do you not like them? Let us know. You guys know I love hearing from you guys. And I hope that this review was helpful. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with me today. I love you all so, so much, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.